the board president of Sustainable Middleborough. If you haven't heard of us, we are a local, volunteer-run nonprofit. We've been around for 8 years now, and our goal is to provide outreach and education and fun events for folks in our town, specifically why we're here today, how you can save energy and money on your heating, cooling, electricity bill, those kinds of things. We also work on a lot of policy, which we feel is really important, mostly local and state policy. We have been advocates over the last 8 years with our Middleborough Gas and Electric Board, with our Select Board, with our Planning Board, and at the State House with all of our reps and our senator, sometimes coming here to meet with them. And we have a lot of proud wins on that. We advocated for a low-income discount rate on your utility bill. We advocated for a 0% loan program, which I have a handout here if you want to learn more about that. We advocated for more clean energy in our electricity supply and a lot more. So you can look at our website. It is sustainablemiddleborough.org. You can see more about what we do, especially if you'd like to join us on any of those activities. I do have a sign-up sheet if you'd like to be on our email list and learn about. We use it very sparingly for local for local events and actions that you can take, just to be in touch with us. We do maybe one a month, and so that's who we are. I should also say that we've gotten a few grants. We do the Cooler Middleborough Fair in the spring with the high school, which is a big event and a lot of fun, and we've gotten several grants for that. We also got a grant from the Massachusetts Clean Energy Center to hire a part-time weatherization navigator. I know he's been here before, and I hope to have him here more in the future, but his name's Hayden Kane. I have his card up here. If you have a question, need any help along the way, it can be very complicated sometimes if you're doing a bigger project, but even if you have just a little question, give him a call or send him an email, and he will be happy to talk to you. Everything we do is free. So that's who we are. And I'm delighted to be here today with Matt Parry. Matt Parry is a local insulation contractor and expert and a fabulous presenter. He did a workshop that was more extensive on insulation last fall at the library. That is still on our webpage, sustainablemiddleborough.org, and I think it's also at MCCAM still. And so you can watch that if you'd like. Matt lives here locally with his beautiful family in Lakeville. He's the third generation in this company that his grandfather started, JM of New Bedford. And I'm so happy to be here with Matt today, so thank you. So I want to say just one thing before I turn it over to Matt, which is that, when Hayden has come here, many people have said to him, oh, I don't want to get an energy assessment. I could really never afford a big project like insulating my whole house or switching to a heat pump, and there are a lot of other things you can get. I'll just grab this one. This is our page about signing up for an energy assessment. Here's a QR code, phone number, email, and website address. You can go and sign up. We really urge you to do this. It's going to tell you a lot more than big projects you can do. The assessor will come with an infrared camera, kind of like the one Matt has over here. They will look for cold spots in your walls, in the joints of your house, around the windows, and they will give you a report and tell you where these things are. A lot of those things you can actually fix yourself or very inexpensively, maybe have a handy person or a family member help you with them. We have some things here we'll talk about that you can do, and it can make a big difference. I mean, we figure, maybe 10% on your energy bill to just do air sealing. So that's something that's really good to have that assessor come in and help you, identify those spots. The other thing the assessor can do is tell you what big projects you could do down the line. You don't have to do anything. It's not an inspection. You can do it when you're ready. And you can also stage it. So I'll just tell you my own experience. So I have had 3 assessments in the 30 years I've lived here in Middleborough. And I will say not all the assessors are equally good. The one I had recently I really liked a lot. But you should be ready with your questions too when they come. And like, where do you feel drafts and why? They can help you figure that out. Do you have cold walls, doors, floors? So try to be ready to talk to the assessor about that. Or is it hard to get cool in the summer in your house? Or and what can you do about that? And or maybe your heating and cooling bills have gone up, but it doesn't look like it's the usage, not necessarily just the rates. And so, those are all things to talk about with the assessor when they come. They also give you a free energy saver kit. I brought a few things that are in it. I think the power strip over there actually came from my last assessment. It's this one, yeah, and we'll talk about that in a minute. Yeah, and they also bring LED light bulbs and a night light, and sometimes they switch things out, but they'll have a few things that can help you that they'll just give you right then. So it's a really good thing to do, to sign up for that energy assessment. The other thing it does is it enables you to get rebates, and some of those, and so that if you down the line decide that you want to do some insulation, that will enable you, or get you started so that you can get a rebate for whatever you do. And I should mention that this is a really important time, not just because it's the beginning of cold weather, but also there are federal tax credits that are ending December 31st. And you still have time. If you get your assessment, sign up right away. You get your contractor, and you can get, maybe it's just one thing. Maybe it's just putting bats down in your attic. But if you do that, it's 30% off, dollar for dollar on your taxes. I'm not a tax expert, you need to talk to your own person, but I believe those can be carried over if you don't have that much tax liability. So it's something to look into. I will mention in my own experience, I was going to say that, which is that last year I got a quote for, I'm going to say, which is round number, $8,000 to do my whole 100-year-old farmhouse. I did half of it last year, a little more than half maybe. And I got a $1,500 rebate from Middleborough Gas and Electric and 30% off my taxes. I did the other part, blowing in the wall insulation, this year. I got a $1,000 rebate from Middleborough Gas and Electric and another 30% off my taxes. So you can see that leaves, even though that bill seems enormous, so if you stage it and you apply for those rebates each year, they can really help you out financially. There's also the 0% loan program we advocated for. We can tell you more about that, which spreads it out over 7 years with if you are under the state median income, there's no interest. So our navigator can talk to you about all those things in your individual situation. I think now I'll turn it over.
Thank you, Ms. French. Hi, Matt Parry from JM of New Bedford. So we are a local contractor. We can insulate and air seal your home for you. But the main reason why I came here to talk was basically talk about the little things that pretty much anybody can do in their home to really make a difference and make your house feel more comfortable and be more energy efficient. So the biggest thing I always talk about, and it's what people bring up the most, is weather stripping of doors. Take a look at your doors when you're in your house. Do you see light going around your door? If that's the case, 100% it's drafted. It's very easy to pick up weather stripping at Home Depot or Lowe's, install it yourself. It just needs to be cut a little bit. A lot of times it can be daunting, but a lot of times if you look at the actual weather stripping, besides the directions that they give you, it's very simple. It's just a couple of nails, sometimes can even be glued in. Usually just goes right over your existing weather stripping, and it's something that just about anybody can do. Other things that I would recommend is taking a look around your windows themselves. A lot of times people say that their windows are very drafty, but a lot of times it's actually the molding around your windows. The molding comes off the wall, you just see the cracks around it. A lot of times if you just take a little bit of caulk and just go right around it, it makes a big difference. The next thing I want to talk about are the hatches and accesses to your attic spaces. A lot of times people don't think about those areas. A lot of times it's just a very thin piece of board that you have there. That really should be insulated, and slapping some insulation on the back of it is a very easy thing to do. Also take a look at it, see if it's weather stripped. A lot of times, again, you could actually see light come around it if you had your light on in your attic space, which most of the time people don't have. But take a good look at it, see if you feel those drafts. The access points to your attic spaces, they act like chimneys in your house. It's drawing air from your house, so all those cold drafts that you feel, a lot of times they originate from your attic. Cutting them off right there at the source will make your whole house feel a lot better. A couple other big areas that people don't really think about is down in your basement. If you have a bulkhead door, take a look to see if there's an actual door that can shut at the bottom of it. A lot of times it's just one big gigantic hole going outside, and all that's there is just your bulkhead, which isn't windproof, isn't weatherproof. You really need to have some type of door or a stopper there at the end. And those are the main things that I tell customers whenever I'm in their homes and they say that they feel the drafts. Take a look at those first. Let's go around the house. Make sure those are nice and sealed up, because those are very easy things that can be sealed up and will make a big difference in your home. A couple other things that we wanted to talk about themselves are the foam insulators on the back of your outlets. Take your cover plates off your outlets. See if there's a foam insulator right there. It is very difficult I wouldn't say difficult, but installers have a hard time being very diligent when they build your houses, and it's very easy for them to leave gaps around electrical outlets, plumbing areas, and so you feel those drafts when you're living in the house years later. These foam gaskets go over the outlet themselves, seal it up, and then when you put your cover plate back on, you would never know that it's there. Again, these are all very easy things that you can pick up the materials from your local Home Depot or hardware store and make your house feel a lot better. I do want to talk about the programs that Middleborough Gas and Electric also has as well. Again, they're offering 50% up to $1,000 for any insulation work that you do, 50% up to air sealing work that you do as well. These are all great things to take advantage of. You can have Middleborough Gas and Electric come out, do an assessment on your home, and then you can have a contractor come in and do that work for you if you'd like. My company, we offer free assessments, free estimates. We'd be happy to come out and take a look at it. But I'd also like to extend a Q&A session too if you guys have any questions about your particular home that you may have some troubles with, and I'd be happy to lend my expertise to it.
What is the name of your company?
JM of New Bedford.
And we have a card right here, so.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Thank you. Is there weather stripping that can go along the side of the door?
So when you say the side of the door, are you saying just like one part of your door itself?
Yeah.
Yep, so there's a lot of different things that you can use there. So a lot of times people have this type of weather stripping in their house. And a lot of times it's got a wood carrier that this is put into. Sometimes it's as easy as replacing that carrier, that weather stripping with this, where it's literally just pull it out, maybe put a little bit of caulking and put it right back in, and a lot of times that can do the trick. Sometimes this gets put over your existing weather stripping that you have. There's also like a foam gasket that just has a sticky side, and people put that on as well. Every door is different, so a lot of times you kind of need to take a look at it. Feel free to send me an email as well if you're like, hey, what weather stripping would be best for this door. I can also point them out on a free assessment as well, but a lot of times you kind of need to see what weather stripping is best, and there's usually 3 or 4 different types that can do the trick. And sorry, I just lost my train of thought here, but again, when your house was built, everything was perfect. Over the years, your house settles. Things turn, crack, this and that. So that's why weather stripping that usually only lasts, 10 to 15 years anyways, needs to be replaced in a house. And a lot of times, yes, one side of the door is going to need it a little bit more than the other just because of the settling of the house. But a lot of times, this type of Q1 carrier will do the trick.
Do you know that?
So the best way is to staple this on. This doesn't have the carrier on. I do have some extras here. Feel free to take some. I also have some door sweeps as well. Feel free to take any of these as well. Door sweeps are great. Take a look at your door sweeps on your home. A lot of them have an adjustable threshold. If you open up your door and you look down, At the threshold in between, a lot of times you see plus signs or where screws are going in and out. You can actually loosen those screws and now make the threshold come up. And if that threshold comes up, it'll engage with your existing door sweeps. Over time, door sweeps, they just wear away. Again, they're only going to last 10 to 15 years. This one itself, this is one that goes on the back side of the door, just screws in, gets cut to size, and you're done. This is called a triple sweep just because it has 3 layers on it, and that does an excellent job of preventing those drafts from coming through. And again, feel free to grab any of these as well.
I'll just mention, we have both some window air shrink film kits, and Matt has brought the door sweeps and weather stripping. One thing we do ask is I have a little sign up here. If you would like one per person in each category, and if you would like to take one and give it a try, what we would really appreciate is if you could just sign it out and give us your contact information. This is good for our funders to know, and we'll give you a call maybe a couple weeks and just see how did it go. Did it seem like it worked? Did you have any trouble? So we have a little sign out sheet for those items. So those 3 things that are free. These other things are examples that are on this side. So. And I meant to ask, and maybe, are there things that you have tried already, or are there any particular things you want to make sure we cover today, or any other questions for Matt? And if you tried something, how did it go? Yeah. Yes.
What is that can?
So this is just a can of spray foam. Again, this is something that you can get at Home Depot, Lowe's, pretty much anywhere now. A lot of times they just have a nozzle with a little pipe similar to like a WD-40 can, but sometimes you can get the gun that attaches to it as well. This is great for just sealing up larger gaps and cracks that you have in your house. If you're down in your basement and you're looking around the perimeter of your basement, a lot of times you'll have a pipe or a wire that goes straight outside, and you'll be like, hey, I can see outside, like, why is that like that? This is a great thing just to seal that up. Sometimes people have unfinished doors in their basement, and this would be a great thing to put between the wood frame of your door and the actual foundation of your house and just seal it right up. We also go up into attic spaces. We usually pull back the insulation that you have and we seal up where your pipes and wires come through. That's called air sealing. That helps cut down on the drafts of your house. These are all things that you can do. You can be as, depending on how much you want to crawl around your attic or your basement spaces, you can really go to town and make your house more energy efficient and less drafty by doing those types of things as well. This is really not expensive. The gun probably costs $20, but the can itself with the little nozzle spray is probably about $5 or $6 each, and it will last you quite a bit. When we go and we air seal somebody's house, we're really only using 5 or 6 of these, and we're really going to town and sealing up everything that we can.
Yeah, I watched this show called This Old House last week, Thursday nights, I think, like 8 o'clock. But they had a blower door test for a house under construction, where they actually measure the amount of leakage for a structure. Do y'all do that?
Yep, so any job that we do through the Middleborough Gas and Electric program, we will do a blower door test. So a blower door is basically a big fan that we put on your front door, and we suck the air out of the house, and from that our computer computes basically the leakage rate of the house. Because we want to make your house as tight as possible to a certain point. We don't want to make the house too tight, and that's part of the reason why we do it before and after, to make sure your house isn't too tight but is as tight as possible. At the same time, it also helps us identify leaks. So if we're over your house and we turn on the blower door, we could go around your entire house and literally feel where the air is getting into your living space and really tell you exactly. It's like, you have an absolute massive draft right here. It's almost imperative that we weather strip this door for you. It's a very simple way for us to really make your house more comfortable.
When you say it can be too tight, does that affect the air quality?
That's correct. That's correct. So the biggest thing that we worry about is air quality and moisture control. We don't want moisture stuck in your house. So If you do have, if you like to take a lot of showers, we highly recommend having a bath fan in the house itself, and also making sure that that bath fan is vented outside. I will say that most houses that are built, before the 90s, it's almost impossible to make it too tight. Pretty much anything that we do, it still won't get too tight. But newer homes nowadays, especially ones built in the last 10, 20 years, there is a real possibility of making it too tight, and there are ways to alleviate that so that you can still have that tightness but still have the air quality in your house.
Two things. First of all, I live in senior housing, so I think dates back to the 1970s. The apartment I have does have new windows, so the front door is all glass with, wood frame around it. And it took me a few winters to realize that there's a porch outside, and on the second floor, it was literally getting enough moisture and cold. There was ice. And so then I started putting in an old-fashioned, snake and everything. But so you're saying the little sweep and the thing can actually be adjusted to come up?
That's correct.
Okay.
Yep.
So I will look into that.
There's a few different types of door sweeps as well. This is just a standard one that just goes on the outside. Not a lot of people like this because you're staring right at it. They do make door sweeps that go completely underneath the door where you really can't see it. Those are just a little bit more expensive, but those also tend to wear down quicker as well. Those are the type that all doors come with, and again, they work well, but they have a lifespan.
The other question is, because it has all of these great paned windows, double sealed, whatever, windows, the bathroom doesn't have a fan. So I keep the window open a crack, shower. It also has a stove with high pilots that they can't turn down because the pilots blew out. So I'm concerned about whether there is good air quality. I'm not getting a carbon monoxide alarm going off, but I swear if you sit in there and you don't have a window open, it's like just so stuffy. So how do you get that tested to find out, is it just all in my old lady imagination or?
So you're saying that you're in senior housing.
Yeah.
Is it a condo type of setup or is it like a
No,
townhouse?
it's the town Riverview, so it's apartment buildings.
Okay. So when doing a blower door test for an apartment building, it's a little bit more difficult because if we were to put a blower door, we wouldn't be sucking in air from the outside and seeing the leakage rate because we'd be sucking air from your neighbors as well.
Oh.
So it's more difficult to get an accurate reading on that. But the main issues as far as air quality is obviously gases and humidity, because you don't want too much humidity in your house as well. Those can also be measured in different ways. Obviously, we can have a CO detector going, actually showing the amount of ambient CO that you have, as well as a humidistat telling you the humidity levels in your home. Those are good ways to test your house, see how it's going. Having a bath fan would be a great idea if you're worried about that sort of thing. It'd be the number one thing. If there was any problems, that'd be the number one thing that we would say to change right away, because you can also put it on a timer. It doesn't have to just turn on if you're putting on if you're taking a shower. And it's a good way to circulate your air in your house and grab more fresh air from the outside. So unfortunately, I don't have the best answer for you, but it's not hard to test the humidity levels in your house. If you have a dehumidifier, it should tell you right away. And as far as CO detection, a lot of the CO detectors nowadays have an LED screen on it that will tell you if there's any whatsoever. But I will say that those are very sensitive, so that I do have machines that we test your heating system for relative CO. If there was any CO in your house, your CO detector would be going off. That is, as long as you test them.
I also wonder, is smoke alarms always have to be up? Does it matter as with the CO? I know there are
CO, you want the
plugins.
low ones. Yes. So they if you go to Lowe's or Home Depot, the the CO detectors, they come in a whole bunch of different variety ones. There's fire, there's smoke, and then there's CO. And a lot of times they're multiples of the same, usually two. You don't see a whole lot of all three. I highly recommend having smoke and fire up high and your CO down low.
Okay, thank you.
I'll just mention one thing about this, and that this might not be a solution for your situation, but I think there is a movement to move away from gas stoves because of concerns about indoor air quality, especially for children and people with asthma. There are portable induction cooktops, which you can find them for under $100. It's not a rebate for them, but that if you would cook more. That's one of the recommendations we have also for just saving energy. When you're doing smaller meals, cook on your induction cooktop, or your toaster oven, or a smaller appliance, even a microwave, that can help you with energy savings. It doesn't help with that pilot issue that you have the stove there all the time. But I'll just throw that out. That's another concern. Gas stoves.
I'll also piggyback on that. So through a lot of the programs that my company works for, at different various times, they would have us test the CO levels of gas ovens. It's a little appalling how high they would get right away. Basically, every, whether it be your furnace boiler or your oven, anything that runs on gas, they have a startup period. So when it first lights up, it's not combusting properly. And there's a whole influx of gas into sometimes the living space. And that's especially true with your oven. So some of the numbers that we were getting for gas ovens makes me personally believe that I wouldn't have one in my house. So if you are to use a gas oven, I highly recommend when you first turn it on, have a window open. And then after 3-4 minutes, you can obviously shut it after that, and it works properly.
Was there another question?
I had a question. I have a house that's over 100 years old with a field stone foundation, so very drafty basement. How do you recommend balancing, trying to stop the drafts without trapping too much moisture in the basement?
Sure. So with every house, we usually take it a little differently. So yours is definitely a different situation that we want to keep in mind, because moisture is more of an issue than drafts, and we always keep in mind radon as well. I don't know if you've ever tested for radon, but it's a good thing to do in this area as well. If we were to seal up your basement more, it'd be much easier for humidity and radon to be trapped in your house. So again, every house is a little different how we would do it, but the first thing I would actually focus on would be your top attic area. If we cut down on the draft areas in that attic space, it will pull less air from your basement itself. Because with a fieldstone foundation, we're only going to get it so tight. It's impossible for us to kind of come in there and seal up everything. And usually you would need a mason or a basement company to come in to properly seal up a fieldstone foundation. So we would focus more on any attic penetrations, any exterior wall penetrations, sealing those up. And because of doing that, inadvertently sealing up the basement or creating less drop.
And let me just add one thing to that, which is that, so I think I understood this from listening to you last year, but if you were just going to do like one insulation project, that's all you could afford, or I think correct me if I'm wrong, but I think laying down some bats in your attic floor, that would be, the first thing to really tackle. That's something that, Matt's company can help you with, or others, or a handy person. It's also not terribly hard to do yourself. Maybe a family member could help you with it. So I'll just throw that out there. That would be a place to start if you're thinking about staging your insulation. Tell me if I said that right.
Nope, that 100% agree. The attic is absolutely where you want to start. A lot of times we get calls for people to insulate your basement ceilings, and a lot of times that's not necessary or even energy efficient. It really won't save you a whole lot of money in the long run either. We live in New England. Our basements are usually 55, 65 degrees year round anyways. By insulating the ceiling of our basements, we really aren't preventing a whole lot of cold air from getting into our house. Again, the attic is where you really want to focus the majority of your efforts, because 60% of that heat just wants to fly right out through the top of your house. And if you create a great lid or a great hat on top of your house, that heat will stop and then work its way back down and make the rest of the house much more comfortable.
I have had very cold floors, and this year I have been using my ceiling fans and sending heat back down. It doesn't bother me in the summer. I can't get up on a ladder and change the direction. I just leave it in the winter direction all year round, and it's helping a lot.
Yep. Absolutely. You know, in a well-insulated home, your second floor is still going to be 3 to 4 degrees warmer than your first floor. So whenever you can circulate that heat back down, you will be much more comfortable as well. Even if it's not, you know, a 2-story house, the difference between right here and here will make a difference.
It's absolutely humongous. And I have a heat pumps up here, so the thermostats work, you know. I have to have my thermostat at, you know, in the 80s to have where I am in the house in the low 70s.
Yeah. And I will say with the caveat that every house is different. So if your house is well raised above the ground, or you're at a place where it gets high winds, it may make sense to more properly seal up and insulate your basement. Also makes a lot of sense what you have in your basement. If you have a heating system, a washer dryer, maybe some other electronics or a whole bunch of piping going throughout your basement floor, then it makes less sense for you to heat that area, because all that excess heat coming from those utilities are going to come up and along your floor. If you just have storage space or a crawl space and there's nothing underneath there, yes, it makes more sense to insulate your basement.
So, going back up to the attic, I had blown-in insulation put in my attic floor 10 or 15 years ago, but there's nothing up in the rafters. Would it be advisable to add bats up there?
So we usually, so first off, we usually recommend one or the other, and we usually recommend it in the floor, like your house is now. So whenever we think about insulating the house, we want it as close to the heated source as possible. Let's just say you insulated your rafters instead of your floor, then all of a sudden you now have to heat that entire attic space as well. So sometimes I go into houses where it's like that, and I say, hey, if we just insulate this floor, then all of a sudden we're cutting off literally a third of your overall space, and you can see how that's going to affect your bills right away. So in your case, if you're worried that your bills are still high and that you don't have enough insulation, we'd actually recommend going over your flooring and or raising your flooring so that we can add more insulation to your ceiling areas. It's not worth it to have both either. It'll always be one or the other.
How difficult is it to install one of those window insulation?
I'll talk to you about that. So it isn't hard. And I actually have here, and maybe I'll transition to another part of our talk, but I would encourage you all to take one of these. In fact, maybe somebody could help me pass these out. And on the back of them, I did put links to a couple of YouTubes for that address that. But basically, what you've got in that kit is double-sided tape and a big piece of plastic. Those kits have enough for 4 windows. You might want to check, before you tape one, you might want to check the dimensions and see, oh, do I actually have windows this size? You can cut the plastic down. Those, I would encourage you, if you take one, to look at these 2 YouTubes. One of them is from the company Frost King that we have to give away. There's another one from Ace Hardware, which it's also short, but I also liked it a little better. Basically, you take the double-sided tape because, you peel off on both sides, right? So you take the double-sided tape, start at the top. A lot of times it's better, kind of as Matt was saying, a lot of the drafts are actually coming from under the trim. So, you can find different spots in your window. You know how they have kind of like gradations of where you could attach. But it's a lot of times it's a good idea to go over the trim, right? And so you start at the top, you put your double-sided tape there, you make a nice little cut, and then you come down around the whole frame. And then when you've got it nice and neat and straight, you peel off all the tape, And then you take the plastic, shake it out. I mean, you can kind of imagine, you know, like it's gonna wanna stick to that tape, but you might be a little, you know, difficult, but try to straighten it really out. Start at the top. You don't need it super, super tight initially, but try to get it as straight as possible and as, you know, as much as you can smoothed out. Then come down the sides and then come, you know, on the bottom from the inside out and try to get it all taped so that plastic is taped. You want some overhang, a couple inches, so you will cut that off once you get it up there. Then, this is the tedious part. And we've been doing this, we have these window insulating inserts, a pilot project, which I'll talk about in a minute, but this is what we found is really tedious. So then you take a hairdryer, so you need to have that on hand. And you set it on the low setting. Don't set it on the high because you might burn a hole right in the plastic. You hold it 6 to 8 inches out from the plastic and you go over the whole plastic and that will tighten it all up. So that's why you don't need to worry to be super tight when you're doing the taping part. And then you're done. And then you can peel that off, you know, at the end of the winter if you don't want it there. It actually does look quite transparent. And if you have curtains that are kind of covering up the edges of it, sometimes I think you can't even see it. But at the end of the winter, if you want to take it down, you're just going to be really, really careful. What I'm told is that if you have glossy paint, it actually comes off a little more easily. If you don't have glossy paint on your trim, you know, you want to just be, you know, just gentle and make sure you don't damage the paint or the wood trim. So I think that's what I know about it. Does that help? And again, when you get ready to do it, go to those YouTube, you know, and just take a look. They're just a couple minutes.
Yeah, it's just the bottom. Where do you seal the bottom?
So you put tape on the trim,
Yeah.
all 4 sides.
Mm-hmm.
And then you put the
Okay.
plastic over the tape, all 4 sides. And then you do the hairdryer to make the plastic tight.
Okay.
Does that seem?
Sounds easy, but.
It is pretty easy, but I mean, you know, like anything you do the first time, like as we learned, doing our inserts, it's a little bit of a learning curve. And I would just urge you, I mean, I know I'm thinking about this. I looked at my own house. You know, I can pretty much reach the top of most of my windows without, but if you do have to get on a step stool or something, just be extra careful or maybe even ask a family member or a neighbor to help you with the top part, you know. So it could be good to have a second person.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. So I did want to go over a few other things that, so we have Sustainable Middleborough has thoughts on a few low-cost purchases that really can help with your energy bill. I mean, one is getting a smart or programmable thermostat to replace what you have. These can be as low as $50, and Middleborough Gas and Electric has a $50 rebate. It's a $100 rebate if you're on the low income rate for the utility. I'm told, I have not done this, but I'm told it's not difficult. You have to take the other one off, check the wires, and put this one on. Anyway, so that you know, you might want some help with that. I would say that is something that if you don't have someone to help you with it, call our guy Hayden and just on the phone, maybe see if he can help you talk through that one. And then LED light bulbs, I did bring a little box of those. Ooh, these use 90% less than other light bulbs. And a few years ago, we were all putting these CLF, those curly ones, you know. If you still have those, or if you have incandescent, get these and replace them all through your house. It's really worth it. That can really save you quite a bit. You know, maybe you feel like you can't, you know, afford them all at once. Buy a little box each time you go to the store. These were our local discount store. That will be my code for you-know-where, Ocean State. These were $2.99 for 4. And so that is a really worthwhile thing to do to cut your energy bill. And I mentioned already the induction cooktop, a little more expensive. It doesn't save you so much on energy. It's maybe like 10%, but it does help with those gas fumes if you have a gas stove. And then on the energy saving habits that I passed out, I always feel a little reticent to mention, you know, that people change their own lifestyle, but I'm imagining most of you are here, you've probably done a lot of these or heard a lot about these. I mean, I have not done all of these in my house. But at Sustainable Middleborough, we've picked out the big 4, the ones that are going to really save you energy. And the way we've tried to calculate with Middleborough Gas and Electric rates and local oil rates, we figure you can save about 10% on your bill with each of these things. Air sealing, turning the thermostat down when you're not home or at night if you can be comfortable. Not using a clothes dryer as much as possible. And then I'll talk about the other things too, but phantom energy, and then also, if you have extra appliances, consolidating and taking down like a second refrigerator or freezer if you don't really need it. And you can just imagine, I'm saying roughly 10% savings on each of these things. The fifth one would be the air sealing, you do it yourself. That's not across your whole bill. That's like whatever energy source, your oil bill or your natural gas bill or your electricity bill. But that really adds up. And on the back, we added some other ones. These don't have quite as much energy savings. But if you, kind of look through that and tick them off and say, yes, I can do that. That doesn't inconvenience me or compromise my safety. Look at those and see if there's some you can add into what you're doing all the time. Most of these are no cost at all. So the first one I mentioned was turning the thermostat down 7 to 10 degrees whenever you're away for 4 or more hours. Turning it down at night if you can be comfortable and maybe sleep with more blankets or flannel pajamas. I actually find I'm more comfortable breathing cooler air at night anyway, but not everyone would be. The clothes dryer, it uses a tremendous amount of energy for something that's going to happen naturally if you just, if you have a way to dry your clothes. I checked at, again, local discount store, $10 to $15 for one of those racks. I got one a few years ago at IKEA for 22, which I think is fabulous. Whenever you can, either inside your house or in the good weather, if you have a place outside or on a porch, try to line dry your clothes. Maybe only use the dryer for things really heavy like blankets or big like sheets or jeans or things like that. But or you can use a combination. But the clothes dryer is a big energy suck. Phantom energy, and I wrote a little bit about this on here. So there's so many things that we have in our houses these days in modern times that have, I forgot to bring my folder too. Like a block on the end of a computer, laptop, or like a power brick, or even on your phone, the little cube, or if it has lights on all the time, or that is always sitting there ready for voice activation or remote control. It's always ready for you. Those all use power all the time, even when they're off. So if you can find a way to turn them off when you're not using them, and you could use a power strip like that one and set it up, and you have to program it. Good luck, call Hayden, and ask how to do it. But that's one option. You can also just unplug, get in the habit of unplugging them when you're not using those things. Things that I'll get to in a second. So things that use a lot are like TVs, gaming consoles, sound bars, computers. If you leave your charging cord in when, like for your phone or your laptop when you're not using it, things like your microwave, which has a little light on, or coffee maker maybe. There are things that are always have some little light on, blinking lights sometimes. Those are also things to look at. Is it possible to just kind of get in the habit, not using it, unplugging? And that can be, again, we think up to 10%. That's a huge energy suck that we all kind of don't think that much about. And then the last one is if you have a second refrigerator, freezer, appliance, if you can possibly consolidate, your freezer's going to work better if it's really full anyway. You can put ice packs or contain jugs or bottles of water. That will help it be more efficient if it's not full. But if you can consolidate those, unplug them, recycle them, or just have them on hand when you really need them for maybe a big event or something, that will save you, again, quite a bit. So I would encourage you to just take a look at all those energy ways to save on your utility bill. They really do add up. Sandy, your question?
Well, I went ahead and did that. I went away for 5 weeks and I got real energy efficient and I unplugged everything. And it messed up the television, my cable and everything, and I've yet to get it all back. So it would be helpful to have information about how you can do these things so that because they're really, I get the phone is easy, you just don't keep the charger in. but so many of the other things, or a microwave, it's got the clock. Until my microwave completely died, that was the only clock I had in the house. So, you know, it's really difficult to change those phantoms because we're so dependent upon what they actually use at the times when we want to use them.
Good point. And I would say on all of these things, you know, some of them just maybe it's so helpful to you, whether it's convenient or safety oriented to have them. Don't turn them off. You know, it's like you have to decide. I'm just saying if there are things, you know, like for example, my toaster oven, I unplug it every time I use it. You know, after I'm done, I'm like, let's unplug it. And I'm not great. I don't have everything set up perfectly, but you know, it's just some things to think about. You can also lower your utility bill by getting like discounts, actual discounts on your bill. There is fuel assistance and weatherization assistance. Here we are right before November 1st. We've been calling. We hope this is still happening. You here at the COA may know more, but November to April is when you can apply. That's typically for fuel assistance, so that's coming up if you've never had it before. Generally, if you've had it before, you're asked to send in your income qualification again. I do have a sheet here. This has the income qualifications and all the information you need to receive. Yeah. Anyway, so I pick one of those up if you think you might qualify for that. Talk to Maureen here. Is that right? She can help you with it. She's the official person in our town, but Hayden can also, you know, help you if you want to, if you have questions or need someone to kind of help you through that application. That can also qualify you for weatherization assistance. Seniors, families with young children, and people who are high energy users, which seems a little counterintuitive, but anyway, are the priority people for getting weatherization assistance. So we have somebody, I think I have a little testimonial from her. She did this, I think 2 years ago. She rented. She worked with her landlord, and she got $6,000 worth of insulation in a little house where she rents. And the landlord had to agree not to raise the rent for 1 year. And, you know, it took her 1.5 years to go through the process. It's not easy. But, you know, again, you know, we would be willing to try to help you navigate that if that's something that could be helpful to you. Also, the Middleborough Gas and Electric has 2 different discounts, 5% off of your utility bill, and you have 30-day grace period past the due date if you are either low income or everyone in your house is 65 or over. You do have to apply for it. I have a couple of those here where you can go online and do it, I think, but, you know, senior and low income. You cannot double dip. So if you get one of them, that you don't get 5% more for the other one. The only thing about the low income one is if you qualify for any of these 15 programs they have here, like SNAP, Mass Health, Social Security income, you can get this low income rate. It also qualifies you to get double rebates from Middleborough Gas and Electric on anything that you might want to you know, purchase for better energy efficiency. And we have a sheet here. We are very proud of this. Here in Middleborough, it's very confusing. We don't have Mass Save. So this has every federal, state, and local tax credit, rebate, and financing program. And there are 3 of those now with 0% interest that I could tell you more about if you want, or Hayden can tell you more about. So this sheet is your guide to how to find those. And that's something we do too, is try to figure out how can you, kind of like I did with my insulation, you know, combine a couple of them and really make it affordable. And what else do I have? So I think that brings us to the end. I just wanted to say again, Sustainable Middleborough, I'll ask for some more questions too, but can help you with signing up for fuel and weatherization assistance, as can Maureen here at the Council on Aging. We can help you with signing up for your energy assessment if you have any issues with that. I will tell you 2 pieces of information you need to know. You can get them on the assessor's website, or we can help you. You need to know the square foot and age of your house, square footage and age. If you take on a larger project, or even just have a little question, you can always call our navigator or email him. Oh, I didn't mention this yet. So one thing we're doing is we are partnering with the Middleborough High Innovation Lab to create these insulating window inserts, which are a little more sturdy, you can see, than like the window kits that you would put up every year. These can be reused, they last probably at least 5 years, then maybe they need to have new plastic put on them. But we're working with the kids. This is just a little model. The ones we've done 2 so far, and Dodie has been the recipient of them, and we're looking for more households to be part of this pilot, so I have a sign up for that if you're interested. We probably can't get to everybody right away, but we want to know that if you're interested. It's what we're making is a very thin little, like natural wood frame. This isn't here, much thinner, made of poplar or pine, and then it has 2 layers of shrink film and foam, and that's what kind of holds it into the window. They have to be custom measured by the high school innovation lab, and then we're looking for volunteers to help us do the assembly. We've been done. So if that's something you're interested in, it's a pilot program. We're trying to see, could this be something we could scale up a little bit and help people, especially we want to help seniors and our food pantry constituents and people who live in our environmental justice census block, which is Middleborough Center, where the income in a lot of neighborhoods is like about half of the median income. So that's another project we have. And we just recently have put together some tenant and landlord guides. We don't have them printed yet. If that's you or you know someone, let us know. We'd be happy to get you one of those. It will be on our website. I have a 2-pager just for tenants, which is here. And we also want to encourage you, if you would like a window air shrink film kit or some weather stripping or door sweeps, and I will tell you, those door sweeps are, I looked up, they're $50. Is that right?
These?
Not those maybe, but maybe the fancy ones.
The fancy ones.
Yeah, so anyway, I mean, that's a nice thing to have. And I did show you the draft dodger, if you can't afford the door sweep, those are kind of helpful, and they're like, I think 6 or 7 at the local discount store, so you could pick one of those up. It is helpful. It's not as good as a door sweep, but yeah. So I don't know. I would love any other questions, and we would love to hear from you what you've heard that you think might be doable, or if you've heard things that are barriers, that we should address in future talks like this, or if you just have questions for either Matt or me. We'd love to hear from you again. Anything? Yes.
If you have your house assessed, do somebody recommend us to use services through whoever? In other words, the window.
If you have an assessment, a lot of times they'll talk about the main points that we were talking about today, as well as what you might need for additional installation. They give you basically a printout of most of the items that can be done in your home. But if you would then have to go and pick one of their approved contractors if you're looking to get any contracting work, any installation done by a contractor. You'd then have to call somebody that's on their list to get that work done.
Okay, they come with the list?
They usually come with the list. I know the list is on their website as well.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
This is kind of what makes it so complicated, which we didn't totally get into, and we can help people individually with it. But there are a lot of hoops you have to jump through to get the assessment, to get the rebates. But there's another organization called Abode, and they sometimes do inspections. They also sometimes want to have a discussion with you about your estimates before you start your work. And they are the ones that keep that participating contractor list. It is on our website. We have a link to it. But so that's a good way to find your contractor if you want to find someone.
So I'm one of the contractors on the list. There is a list of a few contractors on there. But what's great about Sustainable Middleborough is that they're here for you. So whether or not you're getting insulation rebates or heat pump rebates, or if you're looking to do just a little of this and that, you're not sure where to go, Sustainable Middleborough, I'll call first. Absolutely.
And you're JM.
And I'm JM of New Bedford. You can also call me first too. But again, we focus on doing free assessments and installation.
And he's very busy, so I'm so grateful he's here today.
But yeah, absolutely.
Tis the season.
Yeah. But there are a lot of additional rebates available as well. Again, you were talking about the 0% heat loan that's out there. If you are looking into new heating systems and stuff like that, Middleborough Gas and Electric, through their audits, is a great way to start as well.
And just to make sure, so there is something called a 0% heat, called TAPS HEAT loan, don't know what that stands for. That's for Mass Save customers. That's not us here in Middleborough. But we did advocate for and got a pretty great 0% loan program through Middleborough Gas and Electric, and they partner with Taunton Federal Credit Union, TFED, and there's a second one through the state that's called the Mass Community Climate Bank. We have information on both those loan programs. And there's a third one that just started. They're taking pre-applications. That's from there's money that came to Massachusetts before it got cut off from the Inflation Reduction Act. And it's called the, It's called the Municipal Light Plant Revolving Loan Fund. They are taking pre-applications for 0% loans too. So they're all a little different. They all have different income requirements. The one at Middleborough, if you're over the state median, which is pretty high, and I think we have listed here what the income qualifications are. If you're over that, you still get 3 percentage points off your interest rate. So it's still worth looking into. It's for everyone. It's not only income qualified. And anyway, like I said, it's all very complicated, and that's why we have Hayden. And I can answer questions too. I have my card here. So, and any other questions or feedback for us? Neil? No?
You're a wealth of knowledge, that's for sure. Right on the tip of your tongue, too.
What's that?
You're a wealth of knowledge. Everything's right on the tip of your tongue.
I've been living and breathing this for 8 years. I mean, the reason we're doing it, of course, we really want to, serve and help people. I will confess, we came out of an adult education course at one of the local churches, but we're no longer affiliated. We're completely independent now. We have lots of people, in the community, and we welcome other volunteers too. But the one of the reasons is we really do think that the best way to reduce our carbon emissions from our town is to insulate our old leaky housing stock. Most of the houses here are pre-1960, pre-1980. Some of them have nothing. We're just leaking heat and money out the attic, out the windows, and that is probably the number. If we could get that under control, that would be the biggest thing we could do, and that's why we do it. Anything else?
Thank you both.
Okay, thank you so much.